Oh.
Oh, he does this too.
That was right on.
What? How long does it go for?
30 seconds.
Oh no, dude, stop that! No, cut it out, cut it out. All right, we're here. King of the Court Puck. No, I'm just kidding. We're here with Conversation with DJ. Today we have Rob Nunnery. Dude, we go way back, you know? So obviously, I think we've probably met like 2020, 2019 or something. He's playing some tournaments. And for the people that don't know, we actually lived together for a little while. So if you want to just kind of elaborate on who you are and just kind of like that, you know, phase of your life, let's do it.
I mean, that's quite the intro. When you when you introduced my name, I was expecting you to hit the crowd goes wild button. Come on.
Something.
Oh, there it is.
Good.
Rob Nunnery.
Rob Nunnery, everybody.
No, yeah, we Dreamland. I was just thinking about this the other day. It was a tournament, I think, at the Crown. It was the Crown Plaza or the Plaza, just the Plaza.
The Plaza in Vegas, yeah.
Rooftop. This must have been like 2020, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas Wilson wasn't playing a lot of tournaments then.
I do remember this.
And like we just played together, and he's like, I guess I'll come play a tournament because he never played.
Yeah.
And we played, I think it was Riley and Tyson, and we had a lead in the first game, blew it. But Thomas was just like not knowing how to play pickleball. He's just like running all over the court like a madman. Not so dissimilar how he does now, but obviously much more polished now.
Better at it.
Just better at it now. Better with the chaos. And then we played you and Callan, I think, in the back draw, and I think we were up pretty big.
Yeah, you were.
And then we switched sides, and we just got absolutely pummeled by you guys.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was what, 3-4 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, so that was probably the first time I even knew of you, right? And
Yeah.
we played this, and probably the first time I knew of Thomas. All I knew about Thomas was not even his name, was the fact that he was AJ Coller's cousin.
That's right.
That's who Thomas was for like the longest time.
That's so true.
And then now AJ is not AJ, now he's just Thomas Wilson's cousin.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know,
Little switch
in there. But yeah, dude, I remember playing you guys. I didn't know what was going on there. I do remember being down huge. And actually, Kyle and I talked about it too, because that quote unquote venue, even though it's just like a bunch of courts crammed in together, it is a cool place, but it's also like one of the worst places to play professional pickleball at, right? Like on the one hand, it's like shade on one side, sun on the other, big white building on one side, like, you know, like dark background, like what is all this different contrast, right? And then the courts are like slanted, there's like cracks in the middle. So I mean, basically like that era of pickleball was decided on what side you end on, and if you choose the right side, you're going to win your match, unless you're Ben Johns. But outside of that, pretty crazy. So I remember too, dude, I think you guys were complaining about my overheads, like my slap overhead, whatever.
Probably.
I had a Pro Kenix.
Yeah.
And back in the day, it was like, you know, nothing really was that powerful. And then I was Pro Kenix. Anything that was remotely high, just fucking push Callan out of the way.
That's right.
Me.
Slap it.
And just take that thing. So, dude, nice. So obviously, you know, fast forward a little bit, you moved to Texas pretty quick after that, right? So how did that come all about?
Well, no. So like I started pickleball first time I ever touched a paddle was the end of 2019.
Yeah.
And that was in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
So I was living in Austin, got in touch with like the Dormans, and like that was kind of my
awesome people.
That was my pickleball childhood, if you will, was playing with the Dormans, getting beat up by Walter until I got better. And then I kind of got to at that point, nobody was living in Austin, by the way, right? Like it was not a pickleball hotbed whatsoever. There were no courts. It was just like there were 2 taped courts at Sark at the time.
Yeah.
That's it.
I remember.
And at that time, I got to be the best player in Austin because Thomas at the time wasn't playing very much. He would just come screw about, occasionally. But I got to the kind of the top of that, and I was like, well, I'm not going to get better practice right now here. So ended up moving to Florida, and that's where I got linked up with like Deckel and Vivian and started drilling every day at basically Vivian's dad, Jan Poppy's
the old pickleball store or whatever.
Yeah, so that must have been during COVID in 2020. So that was the training. Deckel, Viv, indoors there.
Pretty good training.
And then Simone and Catherine at the time as well down there, and Ben. So that was the whole crew. And then after after maybe a year down there, went back to Austin because it at that point did turn into a hotbed because Steve Kuhn had started doing a lot more stuff.
Yep.
He had kind of built out some different homes and stuff at Dreamland where players could stay and practice and train. And that was what? That must have been 2021?
Dude, pickleball years kind of blur together.
Yeah, I have no
don't they?
idea. I have no clue.
Like pickleball years as well as COVID years all together. Like, I don't know if it was like yesterday, a month ago, or like 3 years ago. It gets so
blurry.
crazy.
It's really blurry.
So, okay, so you guys basically ended up to like kind of move together, do this whole pickleball thing in Austin with Steve, right? And somewhere along those lines where he was providing housing, which to me that, I mentioned before, like to me, like around that time of pickleball is kind of like the golden days too. You know, like so fun, laid back. You can make some money on it. You can play some pickleball, like make a little living. It's cool. Like everybody's, and then, the more money comes in, the more crazy it gets and becomes like an actual job. You have to train and eat right and all do all these things, right? Which is like super, super crazy. And yeah, I basically moved to Austin after maybe a year of you guys living there, and then we all started living together. So that was interesting for me because I was so young. I didn't know any of you guys. I just wanted to like play some pickleball.
I'm just here to get better. Yeah.
Yeah, but just the good days out there, and obviously having the cows in their backyard and all this stuff. Did I ever tell you about AJ's 3 a.m. story?
I don't think so.
Okay, so maybe you might have not. Maybe you were at a tournament or something. Yeah. So for people that everyone knows that AJ is a hockey player, and we were living together. It must have been like 3 a.m. And we're like in the middle. Very nice house. Thank you, Steve. But we're in the middle of nowhere. We just kind of like like you're always kind of like watching just in case something's gonna happen.
It's rural. There's a lot of land around.
Yeah,
so.
like you don't know someone's gonna creep up and like walk in. Like, who are you? It's like, I don't know, I'm from Mars. Like whatever, right? And dude, it's 3 a.m. and I hear just like literally whatever you can possibly think of. So I wake up and I'm like, what the fuck? And I like get out there. I'm like doing a little James Bond thing, like look out. And it's like AJ with his headphones on, like throwing this like hockey ball around the whole entire fucking house, dude. And he has no idea. I'm just like staring at him looking. And he's like, looking in the other side of the room. And then he like throws the ball and the ball goes to the side. And I'm like, what the fuck? And he's like, goes and checks. And he's like, what the fuck, dude? And he's like, my bad, man. It's like, it's 3 a.m. Go to bed, dog. He's like, I'm going to go watch some TV.
My bad,
so he's
man.
like, dude, like the craziest story ever. But
that's Kohler for you right there. That's Kohler in a nutshell. Just doing random shit, just keeping to himself, not intending to wake you up, but just forgetting that, like, oh, shit, there's other people in the house.
Like literally not realizing that there's somebody sleeping at 3 a.m. in a big house. Dude, it's like the best thing ever. Yeah, so like obviously, you left Texas, and where do you go? What were you doing right after you left Texas? I think it was something to do with Hawaii. Were you out there for a while? So tell me a little bit after Texas.
Yeah, so got a gig in Hawaii, Maui, at a Discoveryland property, which for those of you that don't know, it's super ultra luxury real estate. They have a bunch of different clubs throughout the world now. So they have a Hawaii Yellowstone Club, Baker's Bay in the Bahamas, Troubadour in Nashville, just a bunch of we're talking celebrities, billionaires. This is that kind of spot. So really good gig. I mean, paid me a great salary, paid for all of my travel cost to tournaments from Hawaii to the mainland to go back and forth.
Like job / like sponsorship almost.
Ish, yeah. Because the job, I mean, it's like so the Hawaii property, it's not many people are living there full time, right? So it's like people's third, fourth houses. So people come in for a week, 2 weeks, go back. So there's not a whole lot of pickleball teaching. I probably taught.
Yeah, I go there once a year too. Just go check out.
Just my third house.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was teaching like an hour a week. I was not doing anything, more or less. And yeah, I got bored of it.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's just like, if I was 55 and just wanted to chill in Hawaii and just have a great gig that was cush, that would be it. But like, I was still very motivated to play. I wanted to, and it was just so hard to be in the mix when I was having to go back and forth, and it was way more exhausting than I thought it was going to be. I was like, oh, just it's just a plane. You're just sitting down. Yeah, and it's not so much like that.
5.5 hours at a time.
Turns out it's pretty wearing on you. So
it is pretty wearing. Yeah. So I know you've dealt with some like injuries here and there. So how does that come into play, and how have you dealt with all of that stuff, considering like, I think it was like your knee for a little bit and I mean, probably like at all times because knees fucking suck.
It is all times.
Yeah, but how do you deal with that? How do you like the ins and outs and just kind of like, how do you navigate all of that?
Yeah, as best you can. Like right now, I have a torn meniscus in my right knee. Did that in January, and it turns out like just the way my legs are shaped, it puts a lot of pressure on the inside of my meniscus. So like both sides, my left, when I got it fixed, I got it scoped, surgery, 6-7 week recovery. So that wasn't bad. That was that was Hawaii. But the right knee, haven't scoped it yet. I'll probably have to have surgery on it, but I got a cortisone shot like in February, and knock on wood, still hanging in for now.
So far, so
I'm
good.
just gonna keep going on it till I can't.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, but so it's the knee's kind of always an issue. Easy, fine, no problem for men's. For mixed, where you're having to move a bit more, it's a little bit more sketch.
Yeah.
So I'm playing, I'm not playing 70-30. I'm maybe playing 65-35, something like that.
Yeah.
And mixed. So it's fine. But in terms of the health stuff, that like the knee and the injuries have been like a very minor bit of like my health stuff. So I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease last year.
Oh, wow.
And not just Crohn's disease. Like it's graphic. It's perianal Crohn's disease. So I basically have, when I was in Hawaii, it's the most painful thing I've ever had to deal with. It was just like this, it's called an abscess, which is basically like an infection that built up, and I got it in my butt essentially. So it was like impossible. No, it's a pain in the ass. So it was like impossible to sit. I went to the surgeon. He tried to like cut into me and see like what it was and drain it, and like couldn't figure it out. So long story short, went to Austin, had my knee scoped, then had this surgery, which was basically, it was colorectal surgery, and had to have, but it was always going to be just like a short-term fix. It wasn't like this is going to solve it.
Right.
So fast forward a year later and 3 surgeries later for colorectal, I finally got a diagnosis, which was a good thing because now I like know what it is and like how to treat it. So I've been on, for the past little over a year now, I've been on Remicade, which is like an IV infusion medication that I have to get every 4 weeks at the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville. So still dealing with a ton of pain, mainly like fatigue. It just wipes you out. So like when I play a tournament, like Monday through Wednesday, I'm just like sleeping basically.
Yeah. So
So it's super taxing. But yeah, I would say the Crohn's disease has been the biggest challenge.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's so many things out there. I'm not sure if I feel like as comfortable as you are sharing all this stuff. You have some like years of experience with it. I do have some stuff going on that, I don't share with anybody, right? Like people only know about my wrist recently and stuff. But yeah, it's like stuff that, first of all, like it's always lingering in your mind, like, you feel tired, whatever it is. And you're just like trying to like navigate as best you can. But like sometimes there's like really nothing you can do about it. Like you wake up one day, you're like, dude, what is going on? And I don't know if you felt this way too, but sometimes I was like, I don't know if I can even like make it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm literally gonna die. Like it's so crazy. So dude, props to you. Like that's unbelievable that you're able to like do what you do. Kind of knowing what you've gone through and what you're still going through. So
yeah, I appreciate
awesome,
it.
dude.
It's not been fun. And I think the worst part, it's just like the uncertainty of like like when's it gonna go away, or like when am I gonna feel better? Like when am I not gonna feel pain? And it's it's frustrating, and I would say like the underlying thing is how much it affects you mentally, and like how much it affects like it takes you to dark places just because it's like you're so frustrated about not feeling well and just being tired. And for me, that like I would say I'm a very ambitious person. Like I'm always wanting to work and do stuff and create stuff and play, and to have fatigue where I'm not able to like have that ambition or motivation really, really, really wears on me.
Yeah, 100%. I totally get it. Dude, I do remember. Let's go to a little happier place now.
Yeah.
But I do remember, I didn't know you at the time, but you were starting to play pickleball, and you were writing all these, like, you were writing blogs, and you were recording like these like quick Instagram story videos, like I just ran up fucking 100 stairs, or whatever it is. So what made you want to decide to do all of that? And also, like, what made you like stop doing it? Because I don't think you do it anymore, do you?
No, not to how I did it. I basically, when I found pickleball, I was at a place that I didn't have a job. I had left so I had an advertising business that I had sold to my half to my partner, and I think into 2017 or something like that. And I was basically like looking for like what's next, like what do I want to do?
Yeah.
And I found pickleball, and I had the time to devote to it. I didn't have anything else going on really. And I was like, you know what? Like, I don't know, like at this point in the sport's nothing really. I see on YouTube, there's like a US Open, and I see some old people running around hitting a wiffle ball. It doesn't look that hard. I can probably do that.
Yeah.
I think. So I was like, you know what? Let's just see what happens. I'll make a declaration I'm going to go pro in a year and see how that winds up, and just I'll document the progress and talk about it and share what I'm learning. And yeah, I got connected with a guy. He eventually sold that business or the website, but it was called pickleballportal.com.
Okay.
And I think I did a weekly blog post on there just talking about like what I was learning. And that stuff I think it's still on there somewhere.
Yeah.
And then as I got signed by Franklin, I started doing it for Franklin. So yeah, just kind of documenting my progress and like what I was learning at the time, trying to get better at pickleball. And yeah, I still have people come up to me that remember like reading that, and they're like, that was so fun to follow.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it was unsustainable to do that every week for 4 years. So it was fun for a year.
You like the writing the blog itself?
Yeah.
Dude, writing blogs, like, I mean, I don't know what people get out of it. I'm sure there's money involved, there's some motivation, but like just kind of sitting down and like the idea of just like typing away, it doesn't sound extremely nice. So like, especially like, I don't know about NML pickleball. I have no idea where they're at.
Yeah.
But like the fact that you're not playing pickleball, or like, I don't know who they are or whatever, but I don't know if they're playing pro or not, whatever. And then they would literally sit down and just like bash on people, like every event, everything that ever happened, any draft, like, dude, how do you have all the energy to do so?
And I'm sure that's not all they were doing, right? They have to have full-time jobs, and this has to be just like a hobby.
Literally.
It's like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah. And I remember around the time where like they were super popular, I was playing with Corinne Carr a lot, which I love. She's amazing. I actually, when she got signed for quote unquote MLP sort of thing, I was like, dude, Corinne's back? Like, let's go. And, things happen, whatever. She decided not to play pro pickleball. With that said, I mean, I don't think they had anything good to say about her.
It's crazy too, because I mean, she's an OG, and she's talented. She's good. But that was common for a lot of people. They weren't super high on me ever either. So it was.
Well, I think they were down on most people.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It was a lot of like, oh, this player does this wrong. This player does this wrong. There wasn't a lot of like positives.
No, it was like no positive.
Yeah.
Can you like? I couldn't imagine like sitting down in a room with even just a friend and just like literally, not even typing, but like writing and just being like, or talking in this case, and be like, everything's bad.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, like. Like cheer up a little bit, dog. Like, yeah. So now you're basically playing APP full time, right? And I know last year you played a lot with Andre. I believe Andre's PPA now.
Yep.
So like, what does that look like for you? Are you playing left? Are you playing right? Are you trying different partnerships?
Yeah, I mean, the right's my home, but not the rest of this year. So. I think also pickleball's changing. I don't think it's a right left anymore, or I don't think it's going to be for much longer. I think especially with the paddle speed and the technology, you just don't have that much time to switch anymore. Even you watch like Ben and Colin, like they get caught in that switch a fair amount, and that's where they'll lose some points, right? So I think you're having to. With the serves and the returns and the drives, you're having to stay on your side if you want to be successful often.
Yeah.
So Yeah, so I'm gonna play. Well, I'm playing this tournament with Eric Pilot.
Oh, dude, I love Eric.
He's the man.
Awesome.
That's literally the reaction to everybody that I
Fucking
say his name
love
to.
Eric, dude. I think it's Palet, though.
Pilot. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that sounds like the redneck way to say it. You know, I feel like it should be like Pilot or
Call him
something.
Eric P.
Yeah, Eric P. There we go. So I'm playing this one with him, but the rest of the year I'm playing with Jack Monroe and
Oh, nice.
men's.
Very cool.
Got Susanna Barr for Newport coming up, and then a little TBD on the rest of the year on the mixed side. So trying to figure that out.
Yeah, trying to see where he's gonna go. And,
Yeah.
Honestly, what even people are doing, right? Because at PPA keeps on signing people regardless. So yeah, you just never really know, what direction they're gonna go. Like I know there's so many players that I know, especially like now that I do the podcast and I just talk to everybody. Like they'll just tell me things like, oh, like so you're talking to the PPA but you're not signed. So like, what are you waiting for? Sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, well, this and this, and it's like they're still like signing people consistently. Like they're like working on getting literally everybody. So it's like super interesting to me considering like they have everybody already, especially or most of the top players are there, and obviously now with Dylan and Dylan being number one, J-Dub and Dylan winning so often. I mean, because 2 years ago it was like, oh, is PPA or APP better?
Yeah.
Because you had Ben and Colin, you have J-Dub and Dylan, and it's like, well, now it's all PPA, but J-Dub and Dylan are on top.
Yep.
And those are like OG APP players, right? It's super interesting.
It is.
Obviously, there's a lot of like even Chris Hayworth, quote unquote APP, just winning the PPA.
Yeah.
Singles is like pretty crazy too. So there's a lot of talent in both events.
Singles is. I feel like singles is a little different, right? Like it's just there's the depth's insane. Like even on the APP side, I think you could have some of the top PPA players come over, hold Ben and Fed, other than Ben and Fed, probably come over to the APP and not win the tournament consistently, probably medal a fair amount. But like, I think the singles is just so deep now.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I had Ryan Cherry in the podcast, which was unbelievable. And, he was telling me that you're almost at a disadvantage if you're a top 8 seed in PPA because the draws are so deep and so good in singles that you have a Chris Hayworth or something coming from the qualifiers to play a top 8 seed. And then now you're like, I don't know if they do it this way, but considering if Chris is first out of the qualifier and Sherry's the 8th, and now you have to play the guy that goes on to win in the tournament, it's like, what are you supposed to do? Yeah. Right? Where if you get like a 12th seed, you could play like a 16 or whatever, however they do it, and then your draw gets harder and harder instead of just having a really difficult first round. But yeah, the talent, especially on the single side, is like extremely unbelievable and difficult on both PPA and APP. Given PPA considering like Fed is there and Ben are there, like that's kind of like the two people to beat. But there's people like Quan Dong now that's like he beats Ben about like 3 out of 4 times that they play. Like it's unbelievable. I do have to ask you this. You don't have to deal with this, but I do have to ask, and I basically ask everyone because everyone's so emotional about this. But what are your thoughts on the ball? I have to ask.
The beauty of it is that I've never once hit a Vulcan.
Nice.
Never once in my life.
Okay. Never once. So you don't know anything about it. Because you guys play with a Franklin in the APP.
The only I play with a Franklin, play the X40. The only thing I know about the Vulcan is just that not many people are very happy with it. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, I was just talking about this on our pod. It's like, I think memes put something up with like Ben and Colin of just like, oh my God, this ball, like, but everybody's playing with it, Sure. It's both. It's not just bouncing bad on your side; it's bouncing bad everywhere. So
maybe it is though.
Maybe
I get all the. Dude, I'm losing because I get all the bad bounces.
Well, it's Colin gets a lot of net cords, and that he loses because of that. So I mean, it doesn't happen to anybody else. Yeah, just him.
Definitely not.
So yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard many good things about it though.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because like all the paddle technology is getting so crazy, but the ball is not. Yeah. So do you think it makes sense to like have a ball that's regulated where, the paddles don't make such a big of a difference, or where do you think that should be going?
Yeah, I think paddles are always going to be really hard to regulate. Yeah. I mean, they have a core where you can manipulate things, right? So you can see the surface, obviously, but you're gonna have to get inside it to see what's actually going on with it. Right. Ball seems like it would be a little easier to manage and to create consistency. Yeah. but I don't know. Like right now, the playing field's not equal in terms of paddle technology, and players have significant advantages if you're playing with one paddle over another, which is a shame because the whole idea, is to have the player's skill and ability determine on who wins the match, not somebody that has a better paddle.
Yeah.
So it has to be solved. I don't know what the answer is. It's not me. It's not for me to solve it. But I think
You could blog about it though.
yeah, could blog about it and complain about it for sure. But I think something needs to change, right? Like we have to figure out how to create a level playing field, and right now there's not one.
Yeah, there's so many things that are not level playing field, and then you also have to like consider the fact not a lot of people that watch understand, but especially if you're playing, right? Like you already are dealing with the wind, you're dealing with the sun in front of your eyes, like the course facing this way instead of like a different way where like it makes more sense, and there's all these other things that go with playing pickleball, and then on top of that we have like paddle issues, we have ball issues. So it's like it'd be nice to just kind of have everyone be like, okay, who's really actually the best player?
Yeah, 100%. Didn't you get fined for throwing your paddle once?
I got fined for throwing my paddle once.
How much did you get fined?
I can't tell you.
You signed an NDA on the amount?
Perhaps.
Really?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, I can't tell anybody, dude. But yeah.
Over or under $1,000?
It's around there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me this. When you have, talking about the ball.
Yeah.
And, to the point where, you have basically like the face of your organization just trashing it publicly, right? Is that a finable offense or no?
That's a good question. I mean,
because if you think like, who's the Vulcan? Is it Vince? Vince is the Vulcan owner, right? He can't be very happy having like the top of the PPA players just trashing the ball, right? That can't be good for sales.
It cannot be,
especially for all the money he paid to put the ball in, to have the ball in.
For
PPA.
sure, but it cannot. But it cannot be good. Obviously, like there's no chance. That said, like you can't control what the face of the sport does and say in shows, right? So I don't know if
you can. You can if you find them.
You can if you find them, I guess, or you can if you bribe them with money, technically. But do you think that's like something that anybody, in this case PPA, would want to like dive into, or do you think like?
I don't know. You just see fines like it seems like they're very willing to fine people now, right? For whatever, whether it's throwing a paddle or whatever it is. To me, like that's worse than a paddle throw.
Trashing the ball?
Trashing one of your biggest sponsors. Like
but it's not Ben's biggest
air.
Sponsor.
No, but it's the PPA Tours.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
I don't know. I just
don't know either. But there's so many people that are doing it, so you want to find like 30 different people?
Right. Yeah.
Like, you can have... I'm not saying he has done it, but like someone like Julian Arnold that's like super, out there in emotions and stuff. Like he could just, one day be like, "Fuck this ball," know, and like just yell, and then everyone's like, "Wait, what's going on?" Right? So then do you find one, and then try to make a point? Or do you like find the 30, 35 people that are like trashing it consistently on the 6 different streams?
It's a good question.
Yeah, and then you also have to like keep in mind like not every course situation is ideal. So like you could think as the ball, it could also be a white line hitting, it could also be a slight crack. It could also be a tiny little rock. Like there's so many little things that could be, right? So
100%.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I actually do think my paddle throw was justified because
it went into the crowd.
It went into the crowd.
Yeah.
Now I will say, like, I don't think in any sport the crowd should be that close to the players.
Yeah.
Because anything could happen. I mean, I've seen people like hit a forehand drive and it bounces, and then the ball bounces and it goes into the crowd.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, like I'm just hitting a normal drive.
Yeah. I'm sorry I hit it so hard.
Yeah, exactly. Like sorry like that happened, sort of thing. Where, in most sports, if you throw the paddle like that, like no, it's not gonna go into the crowd.
Yeah.
Right. But considering it did, I do think it's fine. Like it is what it is. I actually never have done it again, believe it or not. So
hey, you learned your lesson.
Yeah, so it did work.
Hey.
But yeah, that said, it's just one of those things where it's like, I think you either do it to everybody or you don't do it at all.
No, I agree 100%. It has to be consistent throughout.
Yeah, exactly. But well, you talked about this because you probably feel a certain way about Andre's fine, and you feel a certain way about the suspension. So do you think that should have happened? Like, do you think Andre was at fault? Like, what do you?
So that whole situation, I I feel like he submitted the paddle, right? It's not like he had the paddle approved and then, manipulated it and then tried to go on court to bypass the testing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like that would be like any MLB hitter, like let's say they test bats. You're trying to let's say you manipulate the bat, then you submit it for testing. Their job's to test it. So if they test it and they're like, no, this is out of spec, you need to change it and play with a approved bat, then you're like, okay, fair. So to me, it feels super extreme, especially with the amount of fines that we've had. Like this is $50K. What are we talking? What? It seems insane.
For sure.
Right? Especially for pickleball at this stage of where we're at. Yeah, I know there's big contracts out there or whatnot, but
not everybody has them. Though.
Not everybody has them, but this was also at the exact same time that he decided to sign with the PPA. So I would be shocked if it wasn't a situation where it was like, okay, Andre, we gotta do something here. We'll have to make an example of you because we have to stop this paddle stuff. We were gonna sign you for $300K. Let's call it 250, and we'll say we find you 50K. I could see it being a situation like that.
It could definitely be altered, is what you're saying. Yeah.
What do you mean altered?
In the sense of yes, it does mean the same thing to some extent, but there's a lot of ways you can go about it, right? Like you could say
in terms of the fine.
Yeah, in terms of anything, right? Like in this quote unquote fine in this case, like you could do it where we can sign you for 250 instead of 300. We can not pay you up to 50,000, right? Instead of signing for less. We can ban you for the exact amount of tournaments that 50,000.
Yeah.
So there's so many different ways you can.
I'd be shocked if there was a exchange of actual money on that fine. Say that, right?
I would agree.
Like there's not money coming from his bank account going to their bank account.
I would agree, but I do think there's a slight chance that Proton could pay the PP at the 50K.
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially. I also, back to the Andre thing, I just heard so many different stories, right? Because everything in pickleball and kind of life now is kind of hearsay, It's I heard that, and I love Andre, and I don't think he would cheat.
Yeah.
That said, I heard that he gave the paddle and then tried to take it away from them, and all this stuff. So it's there's just so many different things being said out there that you just have no idea, right? Funny enough, do you ever try putting pine tar on your paddle?
No, I've never messed with it.
So after I heard about it, I was like, I'll try, see what the whole thing is about. I'll show you a picture later. But I put pine tar on a really used up engage that I had laying around there. And then within 3 seconds, and I didn't spray that much, within 3 seconds I could go like this on the paddle, on the face, and hold it up.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah, how much grit. It was literally, it was like glue. It was glued to my hand, and I could hold the paddle however I wanted without grabbing the handle.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So it works.
So it definitely does work. Yeah, it definitely does work. On the other hand, too, it is pretty ironic to me that Proton is, known for baseball, I believe.
Softball. Yeah.
And I do believe they use pine tar in softball to grab onto.
I think. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't play either. But there's all these little things.
There's some ties.
Here and there. Yeah. That said, I do want to give a shout out to your podcast because I don't know the name right now. I forgot. But I know you're
DJ. Yeah, come on, do a little research.
Sorry,
for fuck's sake.
But I know you run it. You basically do it under Selkirk, right? Mm-hmm. And you do it with our boy Adam Stone, which all three of us go way back. Yeah. So, what was the?
It feels right.
Oh, it feels right.
It feels right. That's like Adam's catchphrase forever.
Yeah. And, big shout out to you guys. I used to listen in the very beginning, and I actually remember like texting you guys like, hey, like good pod, whatever, good job. So yeah, if you watch this podcast and you want to go check out Rob's podcast, it's called It Feels Right. It Feels Right. You go give it a like and subscribe. But yeah, dude. So like, what paddle are you playing with now? Are you still with Selkirk since you have the podcast? Like, what's that looking like for you?
Still with Selkirk, playing with the Lux. It's
Soft.
20 millimeters, baby.
Soft.
Oh, hey.
Just have enough power in your own. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, when you just have raw natural power, it doesn't matter. Easy
raw
power.
natural power and fatigue, just like fucking.
yeah. It's just.
No,
honestly, I just like it. I feel like I can get enough pop on it. It's soft and it's nice. It's real nice.
Are we ever gonna see you at MLP ever again?
MLP, I would say very much possible.
Did you apply as we speak?
I did not.
Okay, what are you waiting for?
We'll see. I'll probably put my name in for the next waiver period. See what happens.
Yeah.
But dude, I've always said I think MLP. I wish. I mean, that's why I signed with MLP last year. My dream was that MLP would be the go-to format for pro pickleball, and it would go to it would be focused on regions and cities and like actual teams and locations, and you would have a full year season and the whole deal. Like, I just think you think NBA for pickleball. Like, to me, that sounds sick.
Yeah.
Versus just like the grind of tournaments and tournaments and tournaments.
Yeah.
Maybe there can be, there's, you can still have tournaments, but I think it should be like a 50-50 type deal where you can have the tournaments if you want to play them, but you also have this pro league that's going simultaneously.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, like, do you think tennis would be a better sport if it was like NBA?
Tennis? No, because I think tennis isn't. I think there's too many comparisons between tennis and pickleball.
Ping pong.
They're they're just different sports. Like, this is like pickleball should be more. It's more doubles focused. It's more like the court's close. You can hear each other. You can talk to each other. It can be very chirpy and fun. And to me, that's the big draw of like you want drama and intensity and chirping on court. To me, that's like, that's what makes it fun. I think right now, looking at, seeing like Hayden and Pablo do so well this last PPA, like two guys that love to chirp.
Yeah.
Super fun to watch.
Yeah.
Exciting. Like, they play in an exciting way too, right? They're not just grinding dinks for 100 balls. Like, they're going to do stuff. They're going to speed up. That's what pickleball needs to be, in my opinion. Just it needs to be more chirpy, and tennis is just different. It's a bigger court. Everybody's far away. You can say stuff, they can't hear you. Yeah. Like in pickleball, you can't escape it, right? It's like small court. You can chirp, and it's fun.
So what are your thoughts then on like a sport like ping pong or a sport like what's not racquetball but badminton?
I don't know shit about those really. Like, I don't know much. I mean, ping pong, table tennis, badminton. None of them have really exploded in terms of popularity. So
yeah, they definitely haven't. But I guess from what I know, right, they're both like pretty individual sports. Yeah. You kind of go and do your thing and you compete like you do in tennis and you do in pickleball.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if those two could also be a better sport if it was team oriented. Yeah. I do agree. I do think pickleball team oriented would be unbelievable, which is what we have at MLP. I don't think so. Like, the way PPA does it is like, individually ish because you are also in the doubles team. And I don't think that should go completely away. Yeah. But I would love to have more half and half too, where it's like, you do have a team, you do stick with your team like through ups and downs, unless you're like just awful, right? Yeah. And then they have to get rid of you, and then you can still go and do your thing with your friend or your brother or whoever it is that you want to play with, and like try to. But I think it should be like a lot more like back and forth than 50-50 in my opinion. Yeah. Especially if they're trying to, because there's a lot of comparisons like you're saying, but if they're trying to like basically like escape that and be like, it's pickleball, it's not mini tennis. Yeah. Or it's not ping pong on the table, it's pickleball. Yeah. Then it would be nice to have that, okay, we're not following tennis, we're not following ping pong. It's like we're our own sport and we do whatever we think is right.
100%. Yeah. I mean, tennis has a blueprint, but like tennis has history. I wouldn't say tennis is thriving. I wouldn't say pro tennis is thriving right now by any means, right? I don't think anybody would say that.
Yeah.
Tennis is looking for ways to innovate and get more fans and make it more exciting. So we're at ground zero where we can do that right now without the history, and we can create our own thing. And I feel like we're just way too dialed in on what tennis is doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, yeah, I would agree with that, especially too, like with the way ranking works. Right, it's like literally the exact same thing, like 2,000 points, 1,000 points, like whatever it is. So, no, I totally understand where you're coming from. So obviously you played the APP tour.
Yep.
There's a lot of good talent out there. It's not as well, known and as like the PPA players are, right? The PPA is kind of known for being like, oh, like this is the pro tour, which is where the best players are. That's why I'm there. Just kidding. But that's like, who are some of the players that you're looking at the APP tour that you're like, damn, like this guy could, like on the double side, because we know like Hayworth and all these people are really good at singles. But on the double side, like who do you think is out there right now that you're like, damn, this person like could make like a final in PPA?
Yeah. Make a final in the PPA. Probably not too many right now. I mean, you got Will Howells over there who's playing great and getting better. You have obviously CJ Klinger, who's had a real big step up this year. He's playing great. I think a lot of the next gen guys. So APP does a good job in terms of like they're truly developing young talent with guys that don't have much of a tennis background. So you've got, and they're all really big. Like you got Spencer Lanier, who's this huge guy from Pacific Northwest, who's super talented, fast hands. Richard Livernese is getting much better. He came from lacrosse. And all these guys are like 6'3" plus. I mean, they're good sized kids. Jaden Broderick's really, super young and pretty talented. So APP is doing a good job in terms of investing and giving resources to these young guys to give them an opportunity to get a lot of reps and a lot of tournaments under their belt and to improve. And I've seen them improve a ton over the last year. So I think they're doing a good job, like really developing the young talent.
Yeah, no, I would agree for sure. Especially like, if you do play high level tennis, if you do play any racket sport high level, and it could be non-rackets, but I think especially racket sport because we play a racket sport. Like it does give you a form of like advantage, especially in the beginning when you're starting to like get good at pickleball. That said, like right now, the number one in the world is not a racket sport player.
Yep.
Well,
he is pickleball.
Well, he is now, but his background was not, I believe it was baseball or something that he liked or whatever.
But he started pickleball at what age, Dylan?
13, 14.
Yeah, so I started tennis at 12.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he basically started pickleball at the same age that I started tennis and got, college scholarship. So I would say like and I played baseball and basketball and football before tennis. So I would say it's not so dissimilar from like what I did with tennis and then eventually coming into pickleball, except he just went straight to pickleball.
To some extent, I do agree because it's still a racket sport. That said, even to this day, if it was 2013, 2014 when he started, like 10 years later, there's still not really a coach out there that's like showing you, teaching you how to play proper pickleball.
True.
Where in tennis, you do.
Yeah.
You have all these like great, amazing coaches at a literally a random, tennis club where you live that, maybe he played like, futures, and that's like a huge accomplishment, right? Yeah. So like in Dylan's case, which is like why I just love it so much, he's like one of the few people that play pickleball that is a true pickleballer.
Yep.
Right, and he in no tennis background, no nothing, just like pure hard work, and he's talented, obviously. Yeah. No background of any kind that helps him hit slice or topspin or whatever, and like he not only he's won a major this year in singles, he keeps competing in singles without having like the Jack Sock background in tennis. But now he's like also number one in doubles, so I think it's like the coolest thing.
It's sick.
But yeah, like to your point, like it obviously it does come with it, but in tennis it's a lot more guided. Right?
Yeah, and a lot more technical though.
Yeah, way more technical.
You have to. I mean, it's so specific and nuanced. Your strokes in tennis and pickleball, less so.
Yeah.
But there's also nuances in pickleball that you don't have in tennis, disguise and a bunch of different things like that. So yeah, it's super impressive what he's done, and it's really cool.
Yeah,
and it couldn't happen to a better kid either, right? Like he's such a good dude.
Yeah.
And humble, and yeah, big props.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was telling some people too. And me and Dylan are super close, right? And I always joke around that he sort of traded me for J-Dub and stuff. And it's like, no, they just play together.
Yeah.
I'm his homie. But funny enough, I was just telling people, I called Dylan right away as soon as I knew about the number one. But I always tell people that, like, I don't think there's a better player right now in pickleball that would be a better fit for pickleball as the number one player in the world than Dylan.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if he was 13, 18 years old, 24, number 30 in the world, number 3, number 1. It did not matter. He's always been the same.
Yep.
Right?
100%.
And and I don't know how you feel about it, but there's just so many people recently with all the contracts and getting signed, getting not signed. And people, honestly, like sometimes, because I do know a lot of the deals, I know so many people, like somebody might sign for like literally like no money and then just act like all high and mighty, like I'm a PPSM player. And it's like, that's amazing. The PPA does rock, but it's like, it's not an excuse to like just not become a dick out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it is an accomplishment. I think it is a good thing, but it's like, it shouldn't change who you are either, And then on the other side too, like obviously, people getting a lot of like really big contracts. Like I personally give a huge shout out to Deckel personally, because I'm good friends with Deckel. And, he's treated me the same, whether it was like, little contracts and him winning APP all the time or whatever, or whether or not he's like APP and making a bunch of money, right? So it's like he's like, we're still friends. Like nothing has ever changed. But there's like definitely people out there that have changed a lot over time, whether it was like over time or overnight to some extent.
Yeah, I don't know if people. I don't think people change. I think call it quote unquote success just amplifies who you already are.
That's fair.
If that makes sense,
no,
right? Like if you're a low key dick, you get some success, you're gonna be a dick. You're gonna be it's just gonna amplify who you are. If you're humble and cool, and then you get some success, you're gonna still be that person.
Yeah,
I do think it just amplifies who you already are.
Interesting. So do you think there's definitely so you don't believe in change? Like, can I be a dick and then just be like, I'm a super nice guy now for the rest of my life? Or do you think it's kind of a facade?
No, I think you can change. I just think like if we're talking about like you hit, let's call it some inflection point in your career, whether it's signing a contract and getting some money now, or selling a business, or whatever success is to you.
Yeah.
I don't think you change at that inflection point, if that makes sense. I think whoever you are right before that line, you're the same person after, but now people are looking at you, and it's gonna be very clear who you are as a human.
For sure. Yeah. What do you think the best thing is that pickleball has given to you?
It's given me, it's given and taketh, the health.
Yeah.
But no, it's been great because like in my business life before pickleball, I was pretty definitely chubbier. I just wasn't very healthy. I wasn't moving a lot. Pickleball has made me very active again, which has been awesome. I'm not somebody that just like is like a gym rat. I don't like to just go to the gym and just. I know you do.
I used to.
You used to.
I got sick out of my mind. You should have seen me like a month ago. I was fucking just ripped.
Right? Yeah.
Dude, I lost 25 pounds over COVID 3 weeks.
No way.
That was crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm just not one of those people that just loves to go to the gym. And I know there are a lot of people like that. So like I need to be able to compete at something or do something that's fun to maintain like good fitness. So pickleball's been that in spades, and it's been super fun. Yeah.
No, dude. It's the absolute best. One question that I do have that actually for myself, and hopefully they can benefit out of this too. But like, what are your thoughts on like when trying to get better at pickleball? It's obviously very subjective to like who you are, what you're good at, what you're not good at, right? But so many people get lost in like, okay, to get better at pickleball, you have to play a lot of pickleball, and it has to be against better players. And some people are like, well, you should go to the gym and like work out and do this and get in better shape. So like, I guess from your experience, like, do you think people that are like 4-0s or just overall amateurs, like, do you just need to play more pickleball, find better players? Like, what do you think the answer is there?
Yeah, I don't think the gym matters whatsoever at 4-0 unless you're like grinding singles all the time.
Yeah.
In that case, you need cardio, but I don't think you need to be squatting, 500 pounds.
That's what I do.
Like, you're just a freak. No, but I think at the 4-0 level, honestly, it's you have to play with better players. I think to me, for me in my journey, where I've made the biggest strides in my game, or when I got to play with better players.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like, so I always say, like, if people ask, like, should I drill more or play more?
Yeah.
If you are the worst player out of the four, like, let's say you have a foursome, you're the worst player, like, and you have an opportunity to play games, play games.
Yeah.
Like, if you're the worst person in a group and you can play games, because drilling with that person versus playing games with that person, playing games is going to be more valuable.
Okay.
That's my take. I think I can like, me right now, like, I drill with my girlfriend. She's like she's a 4.045.
Mm-hmm.
4.5. Sorry, she's a 4.5. She's not gonna like
She's
that.
a
She's a 4.75. So that's pretty much been the extent of my training over the beginning of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Has been like getting touches with her.
Yeah.
Truly, dinks, drops, midcourt. Like, you don't need a better player to drill with.
Mm-hmm.
But you do need, if you're gonna play games, you got to play with better players.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I totally get what you're saying, because funny enough, right, like, being in Hawaii for you, like, or when you were in Hawaii, like, there's not a lot of people there, so obviously you do all the drilling that you possibly can and stuff, but, you know, I do have people here, like people like Callan, you know, there's definitely people, like Hayden comes down, right, like I can go up, like, drive 30 minutes away to play with Eric Paley, right? Which, dude, I love Eric. he's like the absolute man. I can't say his name without smiling. But that said, like, where was I going with it?
Playing with better players versus drilling.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, but my dad actually plays, and you know, he's like decent. I don't want to say what level I think he is, because he's probably get a little upset about it. But and to be honest, I actually don't even really know, because I don't play with him. But sometimes I get way more out of drilling just an hour and a half with my dad, working on something that I really want to work on, and we'll just like mimic that over and over and over again, than I do of, like, you know, drilling with somebody that's like really good, and we're just like, just think ahead and attack.
100%.
You know, it's like, it is super valuable to grab somebody that could be a slightly or just overall below you in like skill level.
Yep.
And just go really hard, and also like maybe try to beat him down as much as you can, and work on combos, work on patterns and things like that, you know?
Yep.
That's it. We are coming up to the time. Like always, I'm going to give a huge shout out to all my sponsors, Hezokor, You Drippin', Stack, and also Head for shoes, please.
Damn, bro.
If you want to.
Damn, bro.
All over the place.
You rich? What?
No paddle sponsor yet, though. That said, use code DJ Young at the end. And like always, please like and subscribe. I need to get better at that. We need to get this podcast going, and just like I always do, now is your time to shine. Whatever you want to talk about, any questions, anyone you want to thank.
Bro, thanks to you for having me. This is I've been watching the pod for a little bit now, and I was just so disappointed. The first time I saw it, I was like, it's like his first podcast, and his production quality is already demolishing ours.
I'm demolishing all of the podcasting in Pickleball.
But let's be honest, the bar's pretty low. The bar's pretty low.
It is really low.
You're welcome for leaving the bar low for so long.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but props on doing this, dude. This is super cool, and it's a unique format compared to what else is out there. So bringing in players to interview, not just players, but different personalities in the sport. It's cool. It's valuable. So thank you.
I appreciate that, bro. Thank you so much.
Yeah.